Correct, correct. Okay, so first question will be right using portals. Right, we have App Studio.
Yeah, Siti here. So the main difference which I've encountered is the App Studio, from where we can create the access groups, portal, the web mashup things they have given in very easiest form. And the second is that the UI wise, like they have built on the Cosmos feature.
Okay, correct. Theme Cosmos.
Yeah.
How many of you use Theme Cosmos? Everyone use Theme Cosmos?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
not yet.
Okay. So you try practicing with Theme Cosmos, but if you don't feel comfortable, you can also switch to normal UI kit. Okay, in Pega, you don't need to have any mandatory to use Theme Cosmos. You can build on UI kit or you can build on Theme Cosmos. Right, so Theme Cosmos is 8.x version and UI kit is from 7.x. So you know about all about UI kit, right? So what is the latest UI kit?
I have work up to 15, but not sure. I think they came with.
Yeah, I think I also worked up to 15. So currently, I'll just check in 8.4 what is your version. Okay. So theme, okay. And you one more get told about agents are deprecated. So what are the new options now?
Queue processor.
Yeah, we have
and,
job scheduler and queue process.
queue processor.
Okay. So you don't know about how to implement QPress and job scheduler? Who don't know about this implementation?
We haven't worked. I haven't worked on it.
Okay, good. Yeah. So you just tell, because like a lot of people don't get chance to work because in your day-to-day projects, you'll be using 7.x version or you'll be using 8.x version, but not job schedule process. Still they want to go with agents, right? So you just tell me like whenever you are having this, I mean, you don't know this, you just tell me so that I can understand how much I have to spend the time on these steps. Okay. So few people don't have knowledge on QPress and job scheduler. Good.
Yeah, I mean, theoretical knowledge I have, but I have not got any implementation wise no requirement.
Well,
as
anyway,
such.
we'll go through the sessions. All 8.x enhancements will go through one by one. Right? You'll
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, sure.
Yes.
Thanks,
Okay.
thanks, Dinesh.
Yeah. What are the changes?
So major changes in the case management. So
What are major changes in case management?
this field auditing and we can say the weight safe means that is the parent-child locking concept.
No, the parent-child concept is there from 7, right?
I think the weight safe was not there. The newly introduced weight safe.
Weight shape was there from Pega 6 only.
Okay.
Data page in 8 they have introduced as a in the case management. You can add
Data page as a shape.
savable data page.
Enable data page.
Savable data page is
Savable data page. Correct. Savable data page. Right. Okay. So this is very important. Savable data page. So whenever you want to do an implementation, right? Typically, whenever you want to open a data type and then save the data, what are different ways that we'll be using? I want to save in a data type. I have an employee table and I want to save a record in my employee table.
Normally OBJ save we used to do.
OBJ save, yes. Okay. So we all typically know we have to use OBJ save, right? But OBJ save gives us warning, right? And OBJ save we should not use because it should be followed by commit also. So instead of that, Pega has come up with a new concept called savable data page to save into your data types. So now in your LSA exam, you should not write OBJ save at all, anywhere in your Pega project, I mean your Pega application. You always try to use savable data page. So you don't know implementation of savable data page, right? We'll be going to the implementation so that you will understand about savable data page. Okay.
Another thing is key data page also. It's a new
The key
concept.
data page is there for Pega 6 itself, or Pega 7 only. When a database introduced, you have key data page also.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll be going with key data page because this is also very important concept in your LSA exam. You have to use all these techniques because in your exam, what they will see is how well you have written your code. So your code should be all out of the box and you should have good performance. So if you use key data page, it will have good performance compared to your parameterized data page. So we'll be discussing about key data page and parameter data page, what is the performance difference, so that you can understand it very easily. Right? So you have to use key data page and save data page whenever it is required in your project. And next.
And APIs means DX API, built on APIs.
They have added the lightweight feature.
What is lightweight feature?
I read it. I haven't used it, but it says for faster processing they have added lightweight.
I think while loading the D page, they have added new lightweight data page.
Okay, understand. So if you see in data page also, you have one more option called pagination. How many of you see the option called pagination data page?
Yeah, I saw.
You saw? So you have database pagination that is introduced in 8.x. Can anyone tell me what is this about?
I have idea about pagination to not call the whole data at a single click. They call at times of whenever we call the next page.
Correct. So what happens if you are if you're using a table, right? If you are using a report definition and then if you configure that pagination option, what is going to happen? So if I configure the pagination as 10 records, yes, tell me. Yeah, Rajesh.
Yeah, first 10 records only will be fetched in the at the
Loaded.
runtime.
And when you click on next, the next page, then only the other records will be loaded, right? So you always should use pagination in your project so that your application will be better. Otherwise, it's going to load all of your data. Then tell me, if you use data page and pagination, will that work in Pega 7?
No, because database will load.
Yeah, database will load records all at a time. Yeah, so you don't have the option of pagination. Like you can configure pagination data page, but it only apply to UI, right? So if you configure data page option on the table and you configure the pagination, it will display 10 records, but in the backend data page will be loaded with all the records in your clipboard. So your clipboard says will become queues. So now what Pega has introduced called pagination in data page. So similar to report definition, you can load how many records you want on your clipboard page. So whenever you click on next, then the other records will be loaded so that your clipboard size will be less. So it will improve your performance. That is the concept of database pagination, right? And I see they also added CSS classes, right? So if you open your dynamic layout and earlier, if you want to write a class, you need to define your class and then define your class in that advanced presentation tab. But now there is a gear icon to select your class. How many of you see this option?
Yeah.
So you go to dynamic layout and go open the advanced presentation. You have CSS class, content CSS class, and one more CSS class. In the CSS classes, you have a one gear icon. Right, so I'll be going through this, sharing my screen. I'll go through Pega sessions from tomorrow onwards. So today is just a normal session for us to understand about you or to understand about me or to understand about Pega concepts and what we're going to cover to the session and a little bit high level about all our Pega concepts just to brush up. So don't worry if you don't know, because tomorrow I'll be sharing my screen. I'll be going through all the options very clearly, right? So I just high level just want to discuss. So you just explore in your local environment if you don't know, or if you don't know how to explore also, tomorrow I'll explain you in these sessions very clearly one by one, right? So you don't need to worry. So you have one more option called CSS classes. So where you can add your classes using your the gear icon. You can select your class and add it. Why they have used this option? Can anyone tell me?
Reusable, I believe, to reuse, because
For skin
previously we
UI look
use
and feel.
inline styles.
No, not reusable, because earlier CSS class also it's reusable. The concept of CSS class is reusable, right? So you get one class and you can use it anywhere. So if you modify the class, it will modify to all the places. That is the concept of CSS.
Okay,
Classes.
in that case, I believe if it is multiple classes can be configured. Previously, I think only one.
No, not because of that. So what is going to happen? So whenever we need to add a padding of 5 pixel, what we generally do? I see a lot of people, right? They copy, they clone a new format just to add a 5 pixel space. They clone a new format just to modify your font size. So they clone a new format, right? They create a new format just to modify a bold text, right? Only for simple things. Like we are going to add a new format, just clone a new format and add it. So we have a 2 formats, just a difference of for padding of 5 pixels, we're adding a new format. What's going to happen if you add a new format?
Mm.
It's going to
It
add
will increase the size
300
of
lines of CSS code,
Yeah,
right? So you open your
Yeah.
skin and then open your actions and then download your CSS. How many of you have downloaded your CSS and analyzed how much CSS code has been generated?
I have downloaded, but I'm not seeing the because it's very big file. I'll do Control F
It's
search.
very
and
big
something
binary
like
file,
Not-
but you can search your container format or dynamic layout format. You create a dynamic layout container format with a different name. And when you download, you search for the dynamic format. You can see the start tag and the end tag of your container format. Okay, so tomorrow you come up with this exercise. Okay, you go to actions and download your CSS and tell me for a container format, how many lines of CSS code that is adding. For a dynamic layout format, how many lines of CSS code that is adding. For a container format, nearly added 300 lines of CSS code. Okay, so if you clone only for padding 5 pixel, it will generate at 300 lines of code. So what happens to all the CSS code?
This
tell
will be
me.
uploaded to server, I think.
No, client. All the CSS code will be downloaded to your client, to your browser. How your system works?
Okay.
Because your CSS should be on your browser, right? So it will
Yes.
take lot of your memory in the browser. So tell me what are different ways to improve your performance, or what are different ways of your system server performance? How can you improve it?
Mm,
Can you tell me how can you
Reduce
improve,
the-
or what are your bottlenecks?
Basically, you are asking related to UI or
No,
commonly you are asking?
anywhere. What are different bottlenecks that you have faced, or what are different bottlenecks?
Loading
So
the
because the
data,
bottlenecks
if it is
cause your
very huge
performance
data.
issues.
Yeah, if it is a very huge data in the table or something like that, it is taking too much time because of loading the
Table
data.
By
means your
rendering the data
clipboard
in the
size,
Yeah,
right?
clipboard size. Yes.
Your clipboard size. If your clipboard size is more, then it takes more time.
Then you have
So
long running queries.
You should always check. You should have less clipboard size. Okay, for that, what you have to do?
Pearl report.
Minimize the data pages.
You are asking to whether to check the clipboard size or to fix that clipboard size. You are asking.
Maintain the temporary pages, not the more
Sorry guys, I
user
missed it.
pages.
Okay, we have to use data pages efficiently, right? Either node or thread or requester, you have to create appropriately. And next is
Paginations.
okay,
Delete.
pagination. Next.
Delete the temporary pages.
Yeah, correct. always do page remove of your temporary pages. So you are all writing notes, right? So in your running notes, okay, I'll request you to make sure to have a running notes in this session. So whenever I tell the points, you just write it down, because in my points, I'll be covering how you have to write your exam. So it's, see, generally like everyone will think that completing your application build is like just writing a code and implementing the logic. No, they never see your logic. They will see your way of coding, how you are doing, in which way you are doing the code. Right? They'll all see these options. You have to do page remove. You have to do page new. You have to remove your guardrails codes. You have to improve your guardrails codes. Right? You have to limit using your activities. You have to write your histories. You have to write your descriptions. I'll tell you separate session what are things that you have to do in your application build. So just come out of your mindset, right? Application build is just trying to implement the logic. Okay. So it's implementing your logic, just you'll get 20% of score. That's it. It's all about how well you are using your logic, right? You have to use all out of the box options. Do not write any custom logic, right? So all the Pega exams, 99 to 100%, all your application builds, right? They'll be giving you the scenarios which already have some Pega out of the box activities or options. Right? You have to use all the Pega out of the box process APIs or activities to achieve it. Do not try to use any custom process. Right? So I'll go through this again, like what are the things that you need to do. Okay, so this page remove temporary page is all required. So every option, what I'm telling you is all required while you do application build. You have to create proper data pages. You have to do pagination. You have to remove your page remove. So these all this nothing depends upon your core logic, because your logic will work fine, but it will use your performance. So this also tells your performance. So you have to write an application build in such a way it should cover all these things also, right? And next.
We also have to take care of long running queries.
Okay, next
take
is your
more
SQL. Okay, improve your DB performance. Okay, what are you saying? Long running queries.
When there are multiple joins of different classes, so.
Okay, how to identify long running queries and how do you fix it? Okay, maybe we can go through concepts right and deep.
Based on the DB cost.
Okay, then how do you improve?
I think AES gives those indications. In AES,
Okay,
it will highlight which is the
AES
query.
Or
and DB trace.
DB trace.
DB trace.
Okay, DB
And,
trace.
Or you can use
performance
log
alerts like Pega 005 and Pega 42.
Alerts, that is AES only. So AES will contain your alerts. So typically alerts or AES.
Or you can use
You also
PDC,
have
Pega Diagnostic Cloud.
Pega?
PDC. Pega Diagnostic Cloud.
Yeah, PDC and AES are same. AES
Same.
is an
Both are same.
offline, PDC is a cloud.
Cloud.
We can use PLA. I mean log analyzer. That will also give 0005.
And in your logs, how can you see the long running query?
In the logs we will see Pega 0005 errors.
No, in the
You have
alerts
to
you will
use
see
the log
right?
viewer.
In the alerts you will see the alert code. In the logs you don't see the alert code.
The threshold, it will have the threshold time exceeded, right?
The threshold you will see in the alerts.
Dinesh, I have a question. So if there is a log analyzer where we can use the DB interactions in log files, right?
Correct. So you can use log files. The log files will tell you any exceptions or any failures, right? The log files don't tell you the time performance. The log files don't tell you it take more time to run your DB query. If you DB query, if you have any errors, then it will capture in your log files. But it takes 10 seconds or 20 seconds more, then your log files cannot tell you. That's why you have to use alert logs.
I
Okay,
think
fine, fine.
this,
We can go to deep
if we
discussion
upload
later.
the alert logs into VLA,
Correct. Then you can use it. I understand. Then you can use the alert logs, but at then you have to use alert logs only. Right? Okay. What are multiple joins? How can you reduce?
And one more thing, just I would like to add one point for the clipboard
Sure.
size. For the clipboard size, right, we have to store the data which is relevant to the case processing. Other than that, actually, we should not store as part of clipboard. We
That's
should
what you have to
store
remove.
indexed. No. Removing is different, right? And
That's what when you want to store, you have to use data pages. So you have to identify whether it's in case
Okay.
level or thread level or
Mhm.
request level or node level. So
Fine,
based
fine.
on if it's in request level, you have to use database of requester so that otherwise it stores in your every thread. Right?
But what
Whenever
ab-
you feel it's a request level,
Mhm.
right? You should not create a thread level. So if you get a thread level, it will store the copy in every thread.
Okay. But how to store into the repositories? For example, we are using some transactional table, right? So we are using the data in the UI, right? So how to store it? So every submit of the page, actually, we have to do OBJ save kind of a thing to external tables.
So you have to OBJ save on every submit.
Okay. There is
No,
no
no,
other
if
way.
you want to OBJ save on every submit, you have to use saveable data page.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, quickly. So multiple joins, how do you improve?
avoid unnecessary var class.
To tuning the query, actually.
Yeah, remove your outer joins. Outer joins are more costly. Okay,
And I think indexing, we need to put indexing.
correct. DB index.
DB indexing, yeah.
Create DB index. And
Views.
Views. Correct. DB views are one good option.
And for complex processing, actually, we have to use the procedures. Should be executed at DB side only, not from the application.
Okay. Then, okay, I'm talking about some Pega performance side.
Thread dumps.
Archiving the data, unwanted data.
Archiving unwanted data, correct. You have to archive your work objects at some point of time. Define your archiving strategy will improve your performance and
Retaining concept.
And
properly use filters.
and partitioning of tables. For example, if it is a used data.
Partitioning of tables. How come it improves your performance in Pega?
So, for example, if you are using the partitioning, right? If the data is huge, actually it will do the range scan, right? Full table scan. If we do some kind of based on some data, or if we do the partitioning, so the data will be stored in different partitions, so that actually the query execution will be more fast.
You will use DB index, right? So it will use your SQL.
So it is kind of a DB indexing only, but internally database will do the partitioning for us. So directly it will go to the respective partitions. Yeah.
Okay, understand. Yeah. So I mean, like for that is like for that or more related to DBA side, like where you can do partitions and all. But from Pega perspective, we no need to go that much deep. At least we can understand till the DB index. Okay, at least you know what is execution plan. No, not
Sorry,
from
can
Pega
you
side,
come
just
again?
from DB
This
side.
application plan.
SQL execution plan.
I heard about it, but not having any idea on this. I think in Pega we have one tool to see this execution plan, right?
I mean, if you connect to cloud, then you will see the option, right?
Yeah, yes, I saw that, but I'm not sure. What can we do with that?
I know execution plan. Usually we get it from the DBS. Execution plan contains all the cost of running the query, like how much is the CPU percentage, how much is the time, how many records are being hit, what is the count. So all these things we get it in
Correct.
this execution plan.
Correct. So you can see your cost of your SQL query. So whenever in your SQL, when you install your any database, you go to MySQL and you run one query. When you run one query, you have an option to download the execution plan on the top. I'll show you later. Okay. So that execution plan when you download.
Dinesh, one query here. But in Pega 7 version 7.2, I did not see from where in Pega we can get the execution plan.
No, it's not from Pega,
but
it's from
that's
DB
why.
side.
So we always get it from DB only, right? We cannot get it from
Correct.
Pega.
We'll get DB from DB for execution plan. Yes.
Okay, fine.
So you
Thanks.
get execution plan. It will tell you step by step, right? Each step. Okay, what it is doing internally, right? Internally, it is opening this table and getting the records and getting the records from second table, merging it. So it gives you one flow chart, one good flow chart, which gives you the cost of each process, how it is doing. Then you'll understand where your query is stuck, why your query is taking more time, right? So this will help you at least from, generally DBA will use, but at least you know little bit about the high level process so that you can debug on your own. So just your DB index and the cost of SQL query will be enough for you. Okay. Yeah, guys, we have to go quickly. Then tell me about different performance other issues. Just on high
We
level,
should use more of data transforms instead of writing activities.
Tell me why activities is not suggested by Pega. Why no? Why you should not use activities?
Because in the backend it generates lots of code compared to data transform.
Okay,
and data transforms at the backend it creates XML, whereas activities will generate the Java code.
No, data transform also have Java code.
No, each step in an activity is a separate method in Java. Like it will generate a separate method.
Yeah, I understand the complex of generating the Java is different, but at the end data transform or activity, everything is a rule form. So it all generates a Java code for your compiler to execute, right? Because at the end it's a Java compiler that's been executing all your Pega code.
So in activity, we can write customizing Java code, but we cannot write it the customizing.
Yeah, so security point of view, correct. So we can discuss much more about these things later. So just we'll go through high level. Right? How many of you know about Elasticsearch?
In the DB table, sorry, data table of Pega, they are using that Elasticsearch, right?
Not data table. Where you see Elasticsearch option? Guys, you told you are all working on 8x. You don't know Elasticsearch. Where you see the
Report
option?
definition.
And report definition. Right. Whenever I asked about 8.x, you told everyone told that I know 8.pega, 8pega8. So you should know all these concepts. Pega 8 introduce Elasticsearch. Okay. Then tomorrow just come up with that. Just Google it, and then let me know what is Elasticsearch and how can it improve performance, and what are the limitations for Elasticsearch in Pega. Then we can discuss. And how many of you see this option, dependent roles?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen dependent roles. Anyone worked on dependent roles on Pega 8?
No, but I believe it's for security.
In your axis roles, earlier we used to clone, right?
Yes.
There is no parent-child inheritance. So what we should do if I were creating a Pega, if I want to create a new access role, I need to clone the Pega Manager 4 or Pega sysadmin 4. But now you can use dependent roles. That means you can add Pega sysadmin 4 as a parent. So and then you can add only your classes. That's it. You don't need to clone the entire Pega sysadmin 4 again. So
okay,
you
same
open
like
your access roles
same like access
and then
groups.
check this option and let me know tomorrow. Yeah, tell me.
Okay. Same like applications, like we can inherit from
same like application built on skin inheritance. You all know skin inheritance, right? You all know MBO. So they like this. Okay.
We also have PDM,
PDN, what is
Pega
PDN?
deployment, Pega deployment manager in version 8. Not in
No,
7.
That
that
is a
comes to
separate
DevOps,
tool.
right? That is DevOps.
Sorry, come again.
That is DevOps, right?
Yeah, DevOps. Yes. For
Yeah,
deployment.
DevOps is separate. DevOps is separate. Bix is separate.
Okay.
Right? Those are all are
Okay.
again installations on top of Pega.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, if you get a chance, you can go through DevOps also.
I believe in 8 they introduced the dynamic UI option.
What is dynamic?
Dynamic UI in the by using the APIs loading that front page,
DXAPI. I think.
DXAPI.
Sorry, I don't understand the option. Where you use dynamic UI? Which rule form?
In sections. I heard it, but I never worked on it.
In where? In
but I heard.
sections.
Actually, Dinesh, the DX API, Digital Experience API, means the Pega built-on API. It's some
Oh, no,
DX
it's just
API.
an API. The Pega, in the help, you'll see Pega 7 APIs. That the APIs you're discussing for case creation.
No, Dinesh, I'm saying in UI sections are there, right? Sections.
Correct.
They have introduced some new features in the sections, like using the AngularJS or JSP tag, like using API to load the drop-down values and something like that. But
also we can use.
Okay, I understand, but I didn't have much experience on that. Maybe I'll go through.
Yeah, even I am also, but I just read about it. There is a new feature
Yeah.
coming in.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Then how many of you know about ABAC?
Yeah,
Attribute-based
but I haven't
access
worked on
control
it.
and rule-based access
Yeah.
control.
Yeah. So someone said something I lost completely.
So ABAC is used like if you want to mask data, hide particular field sensitive data, those kind of things.
Correct. So ABAC is a very important concept. Okay, you also should understand about ABAC. So that like you have to implement the ABAC functionalities in your Pega, in your application build. Okay.
High availability.
All you just ignore because we don't need to do integration with other tools. But at least you have to know about this dependent roles, this ABAC, all the Pega out of the box options. Okay, and what else?
Availability.
Huh?
High availability.
Which ability? Operate availability.
No, high availability means the
High availability.
configure
Yeah, we
your
were
load
discussing
balancer.
about high availability also. Correct. No, this is not a Pega concept, but this way from Pega 7. Like, if you want to, I mean, you're combining all your servers into a single system using a load balancer, then you have to ensure you have a high availability, right? Okay, fine. Okay, so this load balancer, availability, this all I'll explain the concepts. Okay, this all you just need to understand what is happening at the back end.
And node categorization also is also important, right?
Where is the load categorization? Where you can see load categorization?
Node categorization, for example, when you are running a big job or when you are running a agent, right? We have to run them on a specific nodes. Like,
no, that is depending upon a design, right? If your production is too heavy, I can run separate nodes. Otherwise, I see a lot of people, they run on the same nodes, which the users will also usually log in.
Yeah. Because, but I think
Yeah,
actually
because it's very big applications. I saw one project where they do specifically one node dedicated to only agents. But in all our systems, I see the agents will be running on the same node where the users will do development. I mean, the users their process.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have
it should be a separate node, right?
Yeah, streaming things also would be there, right? I think.
So even how many of you used report definitions to run on separate node? How many of you used?
You mean to say the background node or?
Any node. My report definition should run on different node, not on the main node, because in my report, I am getting from the last 5 years records for the user to show as a part of my reporting. Okay.
Yeah,
So if you
business
do that kind of
reports.
reportings, yeah, sorry. Come on. Yeah, Rafi.
Yeah, business reports are there to show the
Correct. I have a
value.
lot of business reports. If I see business reports, I need to understand my 5 years data. So if you run the report, it will take a lot of time to generate. But at the time, users should not impact. Then you have to run this report definition on a different node. How can you do it? A different DB, not a node, sorry, different DB.
So we have the alternate DB option, right?
Correct. Alternate DB option. I mean, this is not something Pega 8, but I just told you because we are discussing. Okay. Right.
What
So
is
you have
the-
different bottlenecks, and I'll explain high level.
Dinesh, sorry, you mentioned something like we can run the report on a different node, right? So how we
No,
can
not
do it?
different node, sorry, different database. Because any node, it is the same. The DB is same. Right. See, the nodes are only application servers, right? But then database is same. But in the report, I want to run a different database.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Then you have to think about your browser side memory. Right. What is your browser side memory? Your JS objects. Right. And your UI skin. Right. So all these things coming about your browser memory. And what else performance? Which is you will see.
Automatic testing also.
Huh?
Automatic testing.
Automatic testing is performance issue.
No. Concept of Pega.
Yeah. Automated testing means Pega test cases.
Yes.
Pega unit test. Yeah, there's all a different branch, different department. It's the DevOps, the Pega tester, Pega unit, Pega testing. Yeah, correct.
It's a new feature, right?
No, it's already there in Pega 7 also, test cases. See, how many of you this configurable section, what is called the section? I forgot the name.
Template. Design template.
Correct. Template. Okay, that
Design
introduced in Pega 7 little bit, but Pega 8 it has been enhanced a lot. So always try to use section templates. Okay, wherever it is possible. That is good practice. Okay, as per your good practice, you should avoid activities. Guardrail score should be 95 plus. Okay. And what else? Right, write your histories, write your description, short descriptions properly. Right, those all are required.
Avoid custom HTML rules or controls.
They all avoid any custom. All use out of the box. Avoid custom HTML or custom RDB list. All you know custom, Java custom. Right, everything you avoid all these customs. Use always OOTB activities. How can you see all the list of OOTB activities? What is the place to see list of all OOTB activities?
Rule of OBJ activity class.
No. See, all the Pega APIs activities, it's going to list down at in one place. So it lists down what are different Pega APIs that we can reuse, we can use in your application.
No idea, Dinesh.
No
But I am
idea.
also looking for that. I usually take it from search or rule OBJ activity.
Why you do
rules,
search? You already have the list of all the Pega activities which you can reuse. We have two APIs. So it's called process APIs. Okay, then integration APIs. So process APIs is your activities which mark as API. If the Pega mark it that as API, that means you can use that activity in your application. Okay, you can use an activity to create work object, px create work page, or add work, or add history. Those are all our APIs. Okay, integration APIs is nothing but to create a case, to retrieve a case, to complete a case. We have integration APIs, REST APIs. So where you can see the process APIs?
I think then in the top of the help menu,
No,
APIs.
in top of help menu
Pega.
you can see REST APIs.
Okay.
Okay, you go to Designer Studio, configure, application,
There is a drop down API.
application, and you can see some case management and process API. Somewhere you can see, or you do search, you can see process APIs. So in the process API, it will display a list of all the APIs: add work, create work, add history, update status, all the things. So that's a dot APIs only you have to use in your normal day-to-day activities, right? So these all concepts, what I am telling is not only with exam point of view, even you become a lead or those who are working on lead, you have to do this. I mean, you have to understand how the Pega concepts, and then you have to apply in your project. So please try to apply all these things in your project. So why Pega is asking you to write an LSA exam? Because you'll understand the concepts. Those concepts you should use in your day-to-day normal activities. So you don't think, I mean, you don't understand in the perspective of your exam. Okay, you what are the things that you are learning in this session? You try to implement in your day-to-day project, like project coding also, right? So wherever possible, you go and understand the process APIs and then use it in your Pega. Do not try to use custom activities. Instead, the Pega has got lots of APIs. So you can use your process APIs instead of using custom activities, right? So all the things what I'm mentioning here, even the performance or even this process wise, you try to implement in your project from today onwards. So what you learn, you try to implement in your project. So you learn these concepts. So to your peer, to your friend, you just tell them, okay, this is not the correct way. You have to use this way. Okay, you just guide them. You just guide your team. You just guide your friend, so that they write your code properly. So once you write the code properly, it will be having reusability, and then you don't need to worry about your upgrade. Right? Because you're all using APIs and you're using all the process. So you can have performance. If you can improve your performance, it can help you for your upgrade, and then it can help you to write your code neat and clean, and you don't expect any sudden production issues. Like you can sometimes you will see all weird production issues. Why those weird issues comes? Because you are not writing the code in the proper way. The moment we write in a proper way, right? I see a lot of production issues. Why? Because they are not doing page remove. Simple thing. They're not doing page remove, and then it's going to use the same page again in the next case also. In the testing, we might not do it, but in the production, we might see the scenario, right? So if you do the page remove properly, then you will avoid those kind of scenarios. Everyone understanding, right?
Yes.
See,
Yes,
I see a lot of people, they're using page list and then they do append, right? What they will do, they don't clear it. They keep on adding append. So what happens in your production? It keep on adding append, and then it gets hundreds of records. You don't clear it out the property of the page. You just keep on appending. So I see a lot of production issues on our work. All are because of simple page remove, appending without clearing it out, not using proper when conditions before writing that. See, a lot of people, they do obj browse. They pass some key, okay, param.employee ID, param.key, right? So if you don't pass parameter at the time, what will happen?
It will fetch all the results.
It will be fetched.
Correct. So in my obj browse, see, I see one production issue. In my obj browse, I used a max records 1 because I need only 1 record. I am passing primary key. What I did? So I am fetching attachments in data attach file. So I am passing a PJNS key. So for my scenario, it is everything is proper worked and pushed to production. So what is the real production scenario? What I faced, right? So some developer write the code. They put param.pjns key. They're passing some key. In that scenario, the key is empty. What happened? It fetched some random attachment, and then it sent an email. So what happened? For one customer, it sends an email of other customer. That's a security breach. This happened when I worked in Singapore. So in production, Another customer data went to some other customer. It's a production breach. Then it escalated to government of Singapore because those are very critical details, very important details. Then it escalated. What happened, you know? They sue the company. They fine the company. So it cost them millions of dollars just because you haven't handled a when condition, param key not equal to empty. Right? So because developer not handle the condition, it gives a random attachment and it sends over an email, and then it gives it provides all the account details. So it's basically related to what we call that IP. The people will do IP, right? Okay, some transaction related process. Okay, all the banking system. So which they went the amount and all everything.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a serious security breach for Singapore government. So what happened everywhere, because they forgot to add one condition. If the key is not empty, then only you have to proceed further. So write all the when condition whenever it is required. So whenever I'm passing any parameter, when I'm doing obj open by handle, always check for when condition using whether the parameter is empty or not before you run. You understand, right? So this kind of practice, you should start it from beginning of your project. Otherwise, once you go to production, it will out of your hands. So you try to learn and try to tell your friends to not to do those kind of mistakes. So the all things I'm telling you is to help your project to be in a stable condition immediately. Like I see a lot of the projects, they don't go into stable condition at least for 1 to 2 years. There's a lot of projects, at least 1 to 1.5 years, there are some hundreds and thousands of bugs. Right? Any questions so far?
No, Dinesh.
Okay. So now we have gone through a little bit high level about Pega 8 and a little bit about performance issues. So you're understanding, right? At least on a high level?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because anyway, I'm going through demo sessions, practical sessions everywhere. I mean, from tomorrow onwards. Just today is in high level. Just I want to go on a notepad. Do not want to open any Pega strings. Okay, and so actually first I want to start about the training, but we are talking about a lot of other topics. So quickly I'll discuss about our training agenda and what is LSA course. So guys, you no need to, I mean, as since it is LSA course, I mean, you no need to ask, I mean, like you will be not restricted to ask only LSA, I mean, LSA related questions. So in your project, day-to-day, daily project, if you face any questions, you can ask me. We can discuss in the team. So in your project, you have one challenge. So you can discuss here. So what I'm expecting, first 10 minutes, we'll be going through your project questions. So in your project daily, you're doing some projects, you have some challenges, and you want to know what is the best way to do, right?
Yeah.
So,
And
so maybe
Dinesh, one
first
more
10
thing, sorry to interrupt you. So
Yes.
are you going to cover the ECS also, enterprise class structure, for example, based on the business need? For example, business is spread across multiple geographies and
we
different
need to cover.
has
Yes,
line of
that is
business.
very important concept. It's the heart of Pega. Why?
Okay.
Because whenever you're doing application build, the first step is to create a class structure and create an organization layer and business layer, right? So all the enterprise class structure will be covered on the day 1 or day 2 sessions, because it is very important.
Okay.
That you have to know. Once you become a lead, you have to know whether to see what is the difference between a lead and a normal developer, right? So it's as a lead, you are not expected to only design flow, case, section, properties, etc. You have a decision making skill, whether to go with a class or should not go with a class. How do you decide? Because your design should give us a lot of flexibility. How can you override a rule? I need to go with a circumstancing or class override or rule set override. Which one I have to use? If you want to provide a security, I do a when condition or I need to go with the privilege. How do you define? So all decision making, as a lead, you have to provide a proper decision making. You have to have a proper decision making skills. That is what expecting from a lead. So you should. It's not about writing a flow and completing the logic. That is all a developer or a CSSA will do. But now you are going to a next level of your project. So the next level or the top level project, and everything depends upon your decision making skills. Why you want to go this process? You have to retrospect everywhere when you are doing a design. Why I am going with this approach? What are different alternate approaches? You have to list down. You have to ask even your team people to list down the alternate approaches. Then have a design discussion. So if you focus 80% on design, 20% you can do, 20% effort will be required for your development. But if you focus only on 20% of your time on development design, then you have to redo your development again and again. So mostly focus on design. So we'll be going through the sessions also. Whenever you're designing, whenever you're thinking about a design, like come up with your alternate approaches also. That is must and should. So that is why you have first exam called design exam, right? Then application build. Why they start design exam is because as an LSA, you have to more focus on design than implementation. Implementation anyone can do. Anyone can do implementation, but design only you can do. You have to come up with your own design, and this design should be flexible. Okay, it should be durable. Like even though your project scalable, even though your project increases your scope, it should be scalable. So what are different ways? Why you should use that way? Why you should not use this way? So all these things you have to analyze yourself. That is a one very good skill of a lead architect. So every time you face any question in your project, we can discuss the first 10 minutes of your project questions or any other questions related to Pega. Right? You have some other questions. So not only on these topics, any topic that you want to discuss, you can discuss on first 10 to 15 minutes. So that as a team, we'll see if I discuss only one project, so you can all understand only one project. But if you come up with questions from your projects, then that means you're discussing about 15 projects in one session, right? So come up with your project questions or project design. Maybe you have some design which you don't feel it is right. Just you want to confirm why they're going with the design, whether it's right or wrong. Just bring the discussion on the table. Then we can discuss for 5-10 minutes. And then you can see why they went the design. Is any alternate approach? So it's all debatable. That we don't have 100% correct on this design, right? We know that data transform property set, it is 100% right. Code 100% right. But design 100% not right. You cannot say it is 100% right. Right? So design is good or not good. That's it. So I can have one design. Your design might be better than me because you might be thinking ahead and you might have more better design than me. We have to discuss and debate why it's better, why it's not better. Right? All our sessions, I'm requesting like all the participants to be more interactive. The moment you are more interactive, then you'll get more topics, more answers. Then you can get more answers. So if I discuss only from my side, you will get only one answer. But everyone started debating, you'll get multiple answers. Even if it's wrong or right. But you need to know multiple approaches, how you do. Because when you do a design exam, you should not write only your solution. You should also write your alternate solution. Right? I will show you one design document tomorrow, a sample document. Yeah. Then you'll understand.
And Dinesh, yeah, one more thing. Actually, we have this component rule sets, right? So what kind of things actually we can develop using the component rule sets, because it talks about the reusability, right? So I think actually
that helps for your micro journeys. Yeah. How many of you have heard about your micro journey? Or your micro? So designing many micro features, right? So for this micro journey, the component research will be available. We can discuss more about on that. Yeah, since we're running out of time, so maybe a lot of people, maybe you joined for a demo session today. So just I want to go with all the things what we have to cover on this session. Okay.
Dinesh, actually, do you have anything? Scores content? Do you have?
Yes, that's what I want to discuss in the slides. You're seeing my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I want to go with this course, because a lot of people are interested to know about the course, to schedule, right? What are things that we are going to cover, so that you can decide.
Dinesh, I'm seeing your notepad only. You are sharing your notepad.
That's okay, fine. I'll just stop my share and share again my screen. Okay, now everyone can see my slides.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So today we might go 10 to 15 minutes more of the of the class time. Is it okay, everyone?
Yes, Dinesh, no
Okay,
issues.
thank you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you. Yeah. So like I told you that LSA. So LSA is not about improving your code level skills. Okay, if you want to improve your coding skills, LSA is not the right platform. Okay, you have to improve coding skills, correct? But LSA is your design skills, right? So the coding skills will come by practice, but design skills you have to learn and understand, and then you have to debate yourself. So once you become LSA, you are become to join an allied team, right? Allied team, like it's a top team in the Pega. So where you are writing and designing your application, right? So once you become a lead, they don't expect. See, how many of you faced some issue with the client? The client will ask some questions which is not yet to Pega. The client will ask something, but they don't understand what you're saying, because you will be saying from Pega perspective, but the client don't know Pega. How are you going to manage?
Try to explain them, or maybe put a chart to explain them what we actually discussing or something like that.
Correct.
By showing a
I
demo.
think everyone face this kind of problems, right? So because you know as a Pega developer, you know from Pega perspective, but the client, they expect something different. Right? Client will ask lot of questions. The client will ask lot of things. So client require, so I want some digital signature. I want some API for QR code, to generate QR code. So those kind of new requirements come in. So those are all not, some are I Pega out of the box, some are you have to do integration. How do you do it? How do you understand which one will do Pega, which one will integrate? So do you face any problems with that?
Yes, of course, Dinesh, we face a lot of issues when we go for DCO or when we go for requirement gathering. So
Correct.
we have to sit with them and we have to explain them what exactly we can do in Pega and why we need to do, like using performance and all. It will be good if you use OTP to not go for any custom.
So that is all your LSA skills. So that you have to improve. So as a client don't know what is Pega, what is Salesforce, or what is your service now, a lot of different tools. They don't know, they're not interested to know about it, right? So you make sure you have to convert your Pega understanding into a business understanding. So that is what you have to understand, why it is doing, what is internet is doing, that you have to introspect yourself with those questions when you do Pega development. So I'm using a nodal database. What internet is doing? What internet is behaving? Right? So you don't only limit your knowledge to definition. So the node is just to store. The request is just to do that like this. It's Pega definition. No. What internet is doing, how it's behaving. So if you understand more about this architecture, internal architecture of Pega, then very easy for you to understand all these concepts. Then you can tell to clients also what it is doing internally, how it is mapping internally. So then you can understand a lot of different approaches also. Instead of this, what are different approaches that you can do, right? Then you can convince your customer. So it's all the skills that you need. So you need this as a LSA, you need the skills of convincing your customer. You need the skills of converting your requirements into Pega. You need the skills of understanding different designs. You need the skills of peer reviewing your code. I mean, the code of the peer. I mean, you have to write the good code and then you have to peer review the code of your other developer. So all these skills you have to know as a LSA. It's not only about your writing a code in Pega. Okay. So you have to focus more on your architecture part and your application process, because entire servers, I mean, all the application perspective, you have to, so you are the face that for your external entity. Like as a developer or CSS, CSSA, you will be talking to only your LSAs, right? So you have Pega conversation. But as a LSA, you have to talk with your all external entities. What external entities? You have to talk your server team. You have to talk your DB team. You have to talk to your client team. You have to talk to your REST third-party integrations team, right? So when you're talking to different teams, then you cannot use your Pega jargons, right? Each team will have their expectation. If you're talking to DB team, you have to talk in the DB language, what they understand. If you're talking to client team, you have to talk in the business. If you're talking with integration team, you have to talk in a different manner about authentication, how they're doing, how they're passing the authorization address, how they're doing encryption, decryption, how they're passing the keys. So all this information you have to talk about in that way, right? You cannot talk what is my authentication profile I have to use. You cannot talk about authentication profile to a third-party integration team. You understand what I'm saying, right? You cannot talk a report definition to a DB team because they don't know. Right? You're understanding my
Yes.
right? So that is what LSA role. LSA is a bridge. Okay, LSA is a bridge between your CSS or CWSS with your external entities. So your language should change to whom you are speaking with. If you are speaking with a CSSA, you have to use Pega language. If you're using a DB, you're talking to a DB team, you have to use a DB language. So for that, you have to understand the concepts in deep, right? What it is doing, report definition, it's generate SQL query. So you have to see what is the query that is generating. Then you have to see the query and you have to talk to them. Okay, I'm generating this query, but this query has this problem, right? So you cannot go to DB team and then they can say this report definition is taking a lot of time. How can they understand your DB team about your report definition, right? So you have to gather the information about your SQL query and then send SQL query to them and then tell that this query is taking more time. Why? So then you have to understand about little bit SQL concepts about DB index, and so that you can ask your DBA so to index it, or you can just understand execution plan. So you can ask your DBA that this query is taking more time, so maybe you can help me to improve this performance, right? So similarly, if you're third-party integration team, right, you should not talk about I'm using the authentication profile. Please tell me which authentication profile you use. They don't know about authentication profile. You have to ask about how do you authenticate this integration? What is the way? Then that way you have to convert into your authentication profile in Pega, right? So that all the concepts you will be knowing. So what is the way jargons that we use and what is the jargons that you have to use in Pega, right? So it's a multi-step process to become LSA, and current exam version is 8.3, right? So prerequisites must be CSS certified. You should have hands-on experience. You should minimum have 12 months of experience to at least do an attempt for LSA exam. How many of you have already given LSA part 1 or part 2? Anyone at least given LSA part 1 or part 2?
No, Dinesh, I haven't done.
Okay, nice. Okay.
So, Dinesh, actually, I helped one of my friend. Actually, he appeared 2 times, but the thing is, I don't know how the Pega is evaluating. When we what I can say did the build for the first time, right? He has given some comments, right, which are not justifiable actually. And so again, actually, we try to incorporate the comments given by him in the next time build. But again, actually, he came up with some other comments. I don't know how they are evaluating. So
you I mean your guardrail score is good. You have used
yeah.
these comments, descriptions, and how many activities you use in your Pega? in your project?
So just I helped one of my friend actually. So it is around 20 activities, not more than that.
20 activities, sir.
Yep.
Oh my God. 20.
Okay.
Hardly only one. It should be only one. Hardly.
Okay.
That is also activity you should use only when there is no other way of using other rule format apart from activity. Suppose I'm using an agent. So agent needs an activity for sure.
So, but the thing is actually what, okay, I understand we should not use activities, but he hasn't given this kind of what I can say comments in the feedback. So that's where actually he is saying actually you have to use the circumstance. You have to, when we use the circumstance, actually he talks about the class specialization. So I don't know actually what kind of evaluation, what are the things actually is considering we are unable to understand. So
Okay, so what they will do mainly, they will look about your how they're using OOTP options and how you are defining your steps, and you should not use activity at all. And apart from that, how you are designing your application, your case structure. So the moment you get proper case structure, automatically you know how to use, whether to use circumstance or not. So you have to how to use a proper case structure. Okay, whether to use subclasses, child classes, your class. See, because if you see at the end what you are going to give in your build, only your class structures and your flows. Because all the other logic you will be using out of the box. You don't use any activity. You use all data transforms. The data transforms will be calling either in your post flow action or in your connectors. That's it. So it's all your class and the flow. So if you see number of rules, it will be less only because you have a class and you have a flow. In your flow, use DTs, flow actions, and sections. That's it. So apart from that, you don't get any other things. So code wise, it is simple only, but using the less code is very difficult. So first of all, you should not use 20 activities at all. I don't know why, what is the comments that they give, but the moment you should use 20 activities, 100% you will fail. You should use hardly 1 or 2 activities. So in my exam, I used only 1 activity, only for agent. Because in data transform, you can use all out of the box activities. How many of you tried using calling activity from data transform?
yeah. So otherwise, let me what I can say in the future sessions, right? At least offline, I'll come up with what I can say, whatever the comments actually I have gone. What is
Yeah, then
the
we can
topic
discuss.
actually I
Sure,
got?
sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, you go through the application, right? When we are building, you can tell me like why we are doing it, or maybe you can understand what you did wrong.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Dinesh.
Yeah. So this one typically you know, right? So first you have all the prerequisites and 12 months of experience. Then you go through some advanced topics. Then first test is your LSA readiness assessment. So once you qualify the LSA readiness, then you have to go through lead system architect course and you have to give your architecture exam. So the first exam is readiness exam. Then it's an object-oriented questions. Okay, it's of 30 minutes exam. It's of object-oriented questions, multiple choice. So once you pass this exam, so this covers only limited topics. So these topics, they are going to cover your UI skin and agents and some security and performance. So very limited topics. And then once you, these are just readiness exam. So once you qualify readiness exam, then comes your architecture exam. These are also multiple choice questions. Okay. And you have 60 multiple choice questions for 2 hours. And you have to go to Pearson testing centers to complete this exam. Right. Once you qualified for this exam, then you go to application build. The application build, there will be 2 phases. One is design phase, one is build phase. So one week you have to complete your design phase with a pass of 75%. Then your application build phase. So design phase is just your document, understanding your requirement and giving your solution with alternate options. Right? Then you go with your application build phase. Okay, then it's implementation for 7 days and passes 75%. Right? So if you see this architecture course, what are the topics they are going to ask? So they are going to ask your enterprise design, your application, your architecture, your class structures, everything, and your case design. Right? The case design talks about your flows, your alternate stages, your processes, steps, right? And then your locking mechanisms, all comes. Then data model design, your data types, okay, your properties, your data types, and then how to integrate your data model with the case model. And then UI, okay, UI is your skin or using your CSS, okay. And then your security, there is RBAC, ABAC, authentication, authorization, and reporting, right? Reporting is your report definitions and improving your report and sub reports, right? Multi joins, index classes, right? All this comes under your reporting process. Then you have asset design and reuse. So we discovered the component rule sets. So what are different? How do you design a replica and activities or components which can be reusable, right? So you can go and discuss about reusable components. How to what are things to keep in mind while using a redesigning components. Then about your background processing. Then background processing. See why they don't give agent, because agent is a part of background processing. So when to use background processing to improve your performance, right? In the notepad, you should also think about asynchronous processing. So when do you want to do asynchronous processing? So if you want to do asynchronous processing, what are different ways? So in your background processing, you'll be talking about job schedule and queue process, right? And also about your asynchronous processing also. And performance, we discussed a lot of things. There are still more things to discuss about performance. Your client side, your server side, your DB side, right? And what are different performance issues and how you can improve it, and how can you understand it? And then your integration, your REST integration, SOAP integration, your authentication profiles, your service packages, all those things. So in this integration, we're also discussing not only your REST and SOAP, email integration, file listeners, all the integration only. The moment you are integrating to third party, I'm integrating to my file, I'm integrating to my email, I'm integrating to some third party API, I'm integrating to a lot of different tools, right? So we'll take one tool and we can take an example and we can think about how to integrate apart from REST and SOAP. Then your deployment process, like to create a product file and to ship the product files. What are the things that you have to take care while deployment? Because deployment is very much required. Because as the application build, once you develop your application build, you have to deploy you have to take this product file and give it to them. In your product file, if you miss even a small thing, your application don't work, right? So you have to focus on deployment. What are different rules that you have to take care while deploying, so that when you send this file to reviewer, he will deploy in his local system and then he will work on it. He will test it seamlessly. Okay. So and then they'll also ask some questions about your CSS and CSS course also. So parallelly, while you are learning these sessions, you also brush up your CSS and CSS. And then if you have any questions, we can discuss. Okay. So these are topics that they're going to cover in your lead system architect course. Okay. In your application build, what they're going to ask? They're going to ask implementing your reusable solutions for the requirements. So the requirements, the solution should be extensible and it should be reusable. Okay. And analyze key areas of your current design and identify your architectural deficiencies. Okay. They might give the questions in different ways. It's not about only giving a requirement and developing it. They might also give a requirement, already existing requirement, and then you have to modify it. Okay. So they will ask in your design document, we have different areas. Okay. These are 4 areas that comes in your design document. Okay. It's not about giving a requirement and then giving a solution. They will give one requirement and they will ask you to improve it There is also one question. Okay, so they ask identify the problem areas and propose solutions for existing applications. So you already have an application which you need to identify the problematic areas and then propose your latest solutions to improve the performance. Okay, or otherwise identify the key areas and identify the deficiency, architecture deficiency. Okay, or these for new requirements. Either they might ask for new requirements, or they might ask to you to understand the architecture deficiency and improve it, or they might also give you the problem areas and then give the solutions. So all these different areas you need to document your analysis and then send it to them. Right? Out of see how they give three, right? 3 or 4 in your design document. 3, I think. So they give 3 scenarios in your design document. So you have to write 3 design documents for each scenario. And out of the 3, they will give you 1 scenario to develop and implement. So you have to implement scenario and then give it as a part of your application build. You got it?
Yes, Dinesh.
Okay, our sessions we cover about the advanced learning concepts, and we also think about one product implementation end to end. And while we're going it, I'll also discuss about some interview discussions. So this kind of questions interview people might ask, what is your answer and all. We can discuss based on the topic.
Dinesh, I just have one question. Can I ask?
Yes.
The thing is, when you are calling a activity from data transform, so is it suggestible to call? Because
Yes.
in tracer, it might not be traceable, the activity which you are calling.
Why?
Is it suggestible to call an activity?
No, why it is not traceable? No, traceable means you no. If you click on view preference view, I mean view references, it don't work. That's why your question.
No, my question is it preferable to call?
Yes, it is preferable to call an activity from data transform. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sharing one more slide. This is our code structure. Okay, so we'll be having day-wise discussion. Okay, I mean this is all like on the paper we have written the days. So sometimes we can jumble this. I mean the topics. So we might discuss one topic before the other topic. So based on the requirement, based on understanding, we can jumble the topics. But this is an overall high level on the day-wise topic. So first I will be discussing about the Pega architecture, the Pega overview. So what are different architectures in the Pega? How do you do the Pega installations and all? So the architecture concepts. Okay, and then the second day we can discuss about the case management. On the third day we discuss about data model. And
Dinesh,
about reports and custom SQL.
sorry to interrupt you. In which version you are going to?
All on the latest 8.3.
8.3. Okay.
I think I have 8.4. 8.3, 8.4 is the same. That's okay. So whatever version that we have, either 8.3, 8.4 we can discuss, but not on any Pega 7.
But I think the LSA course is available in 8.5.
Yes, LSA now exam will be the 8.5 actually.
Oh, then we can discuss on 8.5. Okay, we can. I'll install the latest version. So you also install. So maybe you can ask Chendu or any team, any member from Pega gang. They'll provide you the installation file to you. So you just install the Pega latest version 8.5 in all of your systems. Okay. So when they started 8.5 recently?
Yes, recently.
Okay. Then I'll also go through 8.5. So we'll all install 8.5 and then we can go through 8.5 only. But the structure is same. Okay, the 8.5, the concept, structure, everything is same. Okay.
Okay.
And Dinesh, one more thing.
Now
So
exam
are
is
you
on
going to give?
8.3, right? Pega LSA exam is on 8.3, right? Not 8.5.
Correct. But what I had is 8.3, but they're saying 8.5, but I'll just Google it.
Previously, we have to complete part 1.
Because only from 7 to 8.
Within the 6 months period. Now there is no restrictions, right?
And that I don't know restriction. I have to check and get back to you. But you can complete on one version and you can finish the second build version on second. But the
Okay.
duration I will check because they keep on changing the rules. I see that Pegasystems every 3 months they keep on changing the rules. So if we understand everything about this process, in 3 months they'll change all the rules.
The problem. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. So but the process is same. So whatever is, so you always follow this page. So this one will have the latest process, whatever it is. So in any process, it is the same. So let's say ArcTech application build 1 week and app build 1 week. So why they will change the versions, because the client will ask. So what the client will ask, you are asking me to update to 8.5. Is there any persons available in 8.5? That's what they'll change the versions. Why? Because you will be certified and they'll just have a certification 8.5. So whenever you go to client, they'll ask which version you certified. Then you will tell 8.5. So only this version change is only for the clients. Like whenever you are exposed to clients, right? The clients will ask for the version. So that's why they'll give you the latest version as per the latest release. So now if they give 8.3 exam, the release is 8.5, then obviously the customer will question release 8.5, but your certificate is still old. So for that purpose, they'll give 8.5, 8.3, but at the end, the concepts and all, everything is going to be same. It's not going to much change. Okay, but every like 7 to 8, there's a major change in your exam. But in 8, all versions it is same, 8.3, 8.5 or 8.6. I think by the right, you write 8.5. So maybe you'll install 8.5 and start practicing on 8.5. That will be better. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So how many of you used RDB list, RDB SQL queries? And you just know the concepts because it will be using in real time. But in Pega exam, you should not use it the RDB list. Okay, and then differ loading. So differ loading, why you use differ loading?
On demand.
While loading the screen in the I think asynchronous process.
Asynchronous process to improve the performance. Right?
Yes.
So to not to load everything at once. So we need to differ load so that whenever required, we'll load it. Okay, those concepts we'll discuss. Then declarative rules and
Dinesh, sorry to interrupt you. So are you going to give how actually we should are you going to give us the design templates also? Once the design is completed, right? We have to write the design. So are you going to provide any templates kind of a thing?
Correct. So tomorrow only I'll show you one design template.
Okay.
I told you. So tomorrow I'll be showing one design template to you. So how you write your design document question. So what is your expected answer? Right? How do you write down in a format so that it will be very easy for the reviewers to review? Right? We'll be going to design document session separately. And then I'll share your template also. Okay. Then we'll go through file listeners, validations, client and server side, right? So how many of you used that what is edit validate tool?
Yeah, I think mostly everybody is here.
What is the advantage?
On while typing itself, we can able to stop them instead of posting into server level validation.
Correct. It's not client level, right? That means the request don't go to server. So in the client itself, in your JavaScript, in your browser itself, it can evaluate whether it's right or wrong. Right? So if you see a browser, the browser is not simple. It's so complex. So the browser can understand HTML, browser can understand your JavaScript, browser can understand your CSS code, right? So either any technology you use Pega or any technology. So browser can only understand these languages only, either HTML or your CSS or your JavaScript. So you have to, so the server has to convert and send the HTML responses or JavaScripts back to the browser. How many of you see the client request, the server response? Did anyone see the server response in the F12 in the inspector?
Yes. Network
In network inspector,
profiler.
if you see, yeah. What is the response that you can see in the browser?
I think 00. I am not remembering that number. 009 or 008. I'm not sure. You
Okay,
mean
so
you are
how many
asking
of
that?
you? So if you don't have live UI, how do you know which section it is?
By Internet Explorer tools, we'll see
Okay.
the.
So tomorrow, can anyone tell me? So tomorrow, you just everyone explore. I don't have live UI. I'm logged into end user portal. I don't have live UI. So just I want to understand which section it is referring to. So can you
So
all
we have
please
the
do this exercise
You can push
tomorrow?
FPS.
we have the developer tools in the Internet
Developer.
Explorer or any of the browser.
Yeah.
right?
So for the people who don't know, so just explore this option so we can discuss tomorrow. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. So then we'll discuss about. So if you are interested in knowing about how to write a custom Java code, see, we should not write custom Java code, but in your projects, you're required to write custom Java code. You're required to get the parameter value or get the page name and then set some value, call some method. So anyone implemented any Java code?
Yeah, yes. I do.
How many? So I see response.
Yeah.
Okay, from Rafia.
Yes, yes. Dinesh.
Okay, how many other persons have implemented Java code or JavaScript, custom JavaScript?
Yeah, I have used.
JavaScript also. Yeah, we have written JavaScript and Java
Correct.
code
Because
also.
as a lead, right, you can't take any other help. You have to implement because all the other people can ask for your help, but you cannot ask anyone help. Right. So sometimes you have to write a Java code, sometimes you have to write a JavaScript code. But as LSA codes, that is not recommended. But you know, right, any project without Java code, you cannot finish it. Any project without JavaScript, you cannot complete your client requirements. So at least I'll go through high-level sessions on how to write a Java code. So that is only personally, that is only for your personal friend, for your projects. Okay. So if you don't want to discuss, I don't discuss at all if you don't want it. But if you want it, I can also discuss on how to write your Java code or how to write your JavaScript code. Okay. So how many of you know to call an activity from a JavaScript?
Safe URL.
No, correct. So only a few people will know. Right? Most of the people don't know. So maybe I can tell you what are documentations available and how do you search for the documentation to understand the method and how can you write it. Right? So you can go through some. So you're interested to learn or not required?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, we are interested to
At the
learn.
end, not at the beginning, at the end, when we have some time, we can understand about writing some custom Java because I see all the projects still have every Java code. Without every product has JavaScript. Without Java code, JavaScript, it's very difficult to fulfill the customer's requirement because customers don't listen what we say all the time. You try to convince, but 100% you cannot convince the business. Business needs it. So you have to write for sure. But those things don't discuss any PDN articles. Okay, those things don't discuss in any of your videos anywhere. So those things we can discuss at the end of our session so that you'll get an understanding of your Java code and JavaScript. And then we'll also discuss about, okay, so performance tooltips, your performance optimizations and integrations. So maybe we can integrate an example font awesome. How many of you know about font awesome?
No idea.
The font awesome is a library. Maybe type in a Google font awesome. It's a library which provides a lot of icons. Okay, so in your product you have to use some icons. Type font awesome in your Google, you can see. So you have to use some icons in your Pega. So if you want to integrate to font awesome, so you have to integrate. Right, so you can take one example and we can do that integration. Right, so you can also think about the parse delimiter, web chat bot, how to on a high level. So it's based on if you're going the concept so fast and we have some time, right? We can discuss a lot of concepts in Pega, right? How many of you know the channels and interfaces? Okay, how many of you configured on web chatbot?
Yeah, I configured.
You configured. Okay, how many of you configured? What is that one?
Email, inbound email.
Huh?
Inbound email, you mean,
No,
Dinesh?
no, not inbound email. Mashup.
Oh, okay.
Pega mashup. How many of you know Pega mashup? These are all advanced concepts. Pega mashup, web chatbot. So no one configured Pega mashup?
Yeah, I have used.
Because one other project will get the requirement. So in your project, you don't have the requirement, but you have to learn the concept.
Yeah.
Okay, so that if when you switch to another company or when you switch to other project, those products might use it. Right? If you know the concept, you will be on a upper hand. So we can use Pega mashups. We can also understand about Pega web chat bot. So this all, if time permits, right? So we can also discuss a lot of concepts about those things.
So Dinesh, is there any topic which will cover about the logins like SSO?
Yeah.
Because okay, only SSO we can cover. Other interfaces, services
No,
we
so
have. Right?
if you see, there are lots and lots of interfaces, right? You can log in via Google. You can log in via Facebook. Okay, you can log in via some other different things also. So we'll go through an high-level SSO. How do you implement? Either it might be anything. The concepts are same, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whenever
That's
you do
SSO
authentication,
again
the
concept
concepts are
is same.
same.
I'm asking about that auth profiler or something like that. Different methods are there, right? Pega will support.
What are different vendors? So different vendors means they give different keys. That's it.
Oh, no,
So
no,
you
I'm
have REST
saying different
integration.
methods of authentication. One is SSO, another one is auth.
Auth 2, auth 2, auth 3.0.
Yes.
Yeah. So those things, right? See, the method, there is no discussion of methods. When you select it, it asks different options. That's it. When you set OAuth 2.0, what it asks? It asks for different keys, the different fields.
Okay.
So I'll explain you if you really have time. I'll explain you. So you go to maybe you can also try parallelly. So everything it's very difficult to explain in a class. So you try to do it and then ask the questions. I'm trying to do this. So you go with the Google authentication. Okay, go developers.google.com, register for an account. Okay, then it gives you a keys. Then you go to Pega and define OAuth 2. If you go developer.pega.com and you define your project, that gives you everything, which version to use, what keys you to send, everything. So go to Pega, define OAuth.2 and then configure all the keys in that. That's it. Right?
Okay.
So you just try it out different things so that we can discuss in the session. What are your doubts you have? So in the session, we can only discuss on one thing. Okay. But if you want to implement different scenarios, I'm open to it. You just implement different scenarios, whatever you want. You just open the rule forms and then come up with the questions and so that we can discuss. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So every day I'm going to give you one assignment. So we'll go with some bank and then we'll start the application from scratch. And then we are going to cover the application from end to end. So I'm going to give the requirement every day. And then you have to finish the requirement in the next session, right? So what we're going to do, so in the earlier sessions, what happened is one day might not be enough for the developer to complete because of the projects or because of family, right? So because everyone has a family, you have a lot of other things also to do in the day. So you cannot dedicate on the assignment to complete your project, right? So what we propose this session is, so I'm going to give assignment on each day. So this week I'll give 5 assignments. So we discuss on the weekend, a practical session. Okay. So I'm going to give you assignment. So every day you have to implement the assignment when you get a free time. Okay, because I see because of work from home, everyone work got doubled. So how many of you are facing work pressure because of this work from home?
Yes, I feel that.
Yes.
Right? So the calls are never going to end. So it's going to take lot of time. So earlier I used to log off my office by 5:30. That's it. But now since it's work from home, they're scheduling the sessions at 7, 8 in the night, right? So it's very difficult for a person to complete the assignment on that day to discuss on next day. Practically, it's very difficult because we see in the earlier sessions also, because everyone has different problems in their home. So that's what we are giving sessions on everyday basis, but we are going to review these assignments on the weekend. Is it fine?
Okay.
So we have 6 sessions, not 5 in a week. Okay, the 5 sessions are all of understanding the concepts, okay, theoretically understanding it, and then I'll showing you the Pega different options and implementing all the practical things. But the assignments, what you're going to do, we will discuss on the weekend. So we'll discuss on the assignment. So what are the questions you have in the assignment and whether you're doing right or wrong, all those things, how you're doing it, all the things we can discuss on the weekend. So in the weekend, you have any other more doubts you want to discuss, then we can discuss on weekends also. Out of topics you want to discuss something, we can discuss on weekends. Okay. So that's what we planned, generally 2 hours per day. So 5 days is 10 hours. So what we thought is we can limit 1.5 hours, and the remaining half hour of each day, that is 2.5 hours, we can shift to weekend to discuss on the practical things. So design documents, practical sessions, all those things we can discuss on the weekend. Any questions so far?
Dinesh, total how many number of days of plan it is? I think I missed that.
So the total hours is 40. Okay, so the days might increase because in the weekday earlier we have thought of 5 days, but now we are doing 6 days in a week. Okay, 1.5 hour per day. So earlier it was 2 hours per day, and then it is around 20 sessions, so 40 days. But now you have 1.5 hour per day, right? And then you have 6 days in a week. So 5 to 10. Earlier it has 4 weeks. So every week has 5 days to 20 days. Now it might have around 25 days.
Okay, yeah. So total 25 days means by around
1 month with Sundays,
1 month.
1 day holiday including, right? So
Yeah,
around 1 month,
yeah.
1 month, 1 week, around like that.
Yeah,
1 month.
okay, sure, thanks.
And Dinesh, one more question. So other than these trainings and other things, so Pega Gang will support for the exams, like help or support will do from.
Come here and then train you as a trainee, right? I am not a full-time member of Pega Gang. So I come here and then give you a sessions on, let's say, Pega training, right? So maybe the coordinator to whom you discussed on all these sessions, maybe those are the right person to give you this process.
Okay.
Dinesh, you told, right, like we are going to discuss the practical stuffs on the weekend. You meant on Saturday?
That we can discuss, I mean, our team, right? So we actually thought of leaving this choice to the team, open to either Saturday or Sunday. So because some people, right, some people might think Saturday, because till Friday they were very tired, so at least they want to take an off on Saturday and they can continue on Sunday. Some people think like that, or some people think that anyway Monday is going to come, so Sunday want to take rest and Saturday they want to discuss. So maybe majority we can discuss, like majority of the team which day they want to propose, we can discuss on that day. And timing is also flexible because we don't have office on the day, so you can join a little bit late, so you can sleep first more time on the morning time.
Okay.
Right. So because we have an offices now, we have to connect in the morning. But on Saturday, at least we can connect sometime little bit late, not at early morning 7, or we can go with the evenings. So based on your time frame, we can discuss. That is all your choice. So maybe you can think about it. We can have some voting session sometime later of this week, and we can decide. Okay, so based on number of people, I mean, based on the team count and number of people who are enrolled for the session, so based on that, we can decide and discuss on the weekend times.
Yeah, anyway, it's a 1 month time force, so we are ready to flex more to cover
Correct.
the more topics. It will be helpful
Good,
for
that's
us as well. Yes.
So the moment you ask more questions, then you'll get more topics to discuss, right? It's all depends upon you. So if it is one way, then what are topics that I prepare, right? I'll give it to you. That's it. But if you ask more questions, if I don't know, I'll take some time and then I'll come and prepare and then I'll tell you in the next session, right? So you have to ask more and more questions. So even I don't know, I'll take some time and I'll find out the answer and I'll tell you next session. So it's all how interactive the session is, then that many topics that you can cover and that much knowledge you can earn. Any questions so far? I think, sorry, it took a lot of time for you guys.
Nothing from my side. Nice.
So are we covering the automating things, automation deployments?
No. We don't cover
Testing.
automation deployment. We don't cover bigs. We don't cover DevOps deployments, right? So those all are not as a part of your LSA,
Okay.
right? So those the topics what we are going to cover, I mentioned in the slide. And I mentioned the case design, report design, all those topics you see, right? So those topics will be covering. So if you have time at the end, we can cover the topics like advanced, more things about mashups, web chatbots, all those things we can cover.
Okay, I have one question. Like whoever is in the participants, so are they going to be added in a group? Like even when we have any doubts, we are allowed to chat and like.
Yeah, that we can ask the coordinators, Pega coordinators to
After
initiate that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chandu, you're saying something?
Yes, Dinesh. About
Yes, one more doubt. You said the Pega installation, right? The first day. So you mean to say how to install all the server setups?
How
and
to
all you will
install is
do?
next. How to install is not our work to learn as LSA.
Okay. No. I just want to. just for-
Installation is about architecture. Okay, so when you install Pega, what are different things that you have to see and what are different architectures in Pega? Maybe in the session you can understand more about it. What I meant by that architecture.
Okay, Dinesh.
Okay, any more questions?
Yeah, Dinesh, for tomorrow's session, we need to ready with new version installation, right?
Correct.